I'm a time traveler from the year 2345. I'm so sorry for what's coming for you. Regardless of whether you believe or not, I assure you I am a real one. I will say right off the bat that I won't give you my real name for the simple reason that, well, I'm actually alive right now in 2023. To be more specific, the past version of me is alive right now, and I can't afford to let history change for reasons I'll go into in a minute. I also won't get into much information about the future in relation to things such as politics or such, so please don't ask. But I suppose I should give a few rather vague details, which may help convince you as time goes on that I'm telling the truth. It may help convince the right people that my warning is real. For starters, less than 2 or 3 decades from now, not only have the cures for cancer and other major debilitating diseases been found, but they can be administered from a simple vaccine shot. In a way, the pandemic we went through helped accelerate their development. We also end up making death itself more of a choice than an inevitability. Life extension research being conducted right now leads to both the ability to live for centuries, if not longer, but also retain our youthful bodies for as long as you wish, which means many of you reading this might still be alive in my time. I was one of those who jumped on the bandwagon after they finished working the bugs out of it. I mean, imagine having the body of yourself in your 20s, with all the knowledge and wisdom you accrue from living so long, not to mention being able to do all the things which a single natural lifetime wouldn't allow. It gets some pushback at first by people who worry about living beyond a natural lifetime. Gasoline is banned by the halfway point of this century, but synthetic fuel means people aren't forced into electric cars, which I was extremely happy about because it meant I could keep driving my Cadillac DeVille around. Although many people get hooked on the flying car craze that happens towards the end of the 21st century. Not me though, I prefer staying on the ground. Trust me, mid-air accidents are not pretty. However, space travel took off after the Artemis missions put people back on the moon, a few years from now for you guys. And once the moon base and spaceport was constructed, well, it was off to the races from there. Vacations to planets like Mars, along with planetary moons such as Europa and Titan, become regular occurrences, even for those not so wealthy. And as for time travel, well, that took a little while longer than anticipated to actually work on, and that's the reason why I'm writing this now. You see, there were many discussions that happened as people began to take time travel more and more seriously. Not only to the future, which could already be done with time dilation, but to the past. It almost became as much of a race for every country in the world as the space race in the 60s had been. Everyone wanted to be written into the history books for eternity, as the ones who finally invented the ability to travel through time itself. But people weren't really rushing like they used to when they only had a century or less to live. Scientists could work much longer without worrying about retiring or dying. During the first part of this time, I honestly wasn't a part of the endeavors myself. I'd more or less turned my life around from the second. I realized I would be able to live far longer than I thought I would before. I made something of myself, and without getting into too many specific details, as again, I want my identity to remain protected, I will say I became a best-selling author and explorer who did everything from climbing whatever is on Earth and Olympus Mons on Mars, to using the vast wealth I made from writing and other business endeavors to create underwater cities, similar in design to how Rapture from the BioShock video game looked. I was living my best life from the latter half of the 21st century to the midway point of the 23rd, but there was something that kept pulling away at my mind all throughout it. You can now check if there's a part 2 by pressing share and more.